Think about what you did.
Nobody makes it to the end of these things. Come on.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.
I think it exists. It's just in a different form than what we know.
There's always going to be bullying.
Like,
I think actually
It's worse.
bullying. I actually think a lot of what's going on right now is bullying.
I feel like you're saying it weird. Is he saying it weird? How do you
well, yeah, because I had to
bullying,
like
bullying.
bully,
like bullying, like the search is like greater than like
no, bullying.
equals?
No, like bowling, like pins.
What accent is that?
Wait.
Like a
bowling?
300 bowling.
No. I think he's trying to communicate with us.
bullying.
Bullying.
Now it feels weird to say.
Now I don't know how to. You wrote
It's like that scene. What is that, Tommy Boy? When they're road.
Roads. That was Black Sheep, not Tommy.
Was that
Boy.
Black Sheep? Yeah,
Black
sorry.
Sheep. Still great reference though. All right. Well, I don't know. What are we talking about today? It's because I'm pretty sure we're not talking about bowling. Is it? Oh, trans sports.
Yeah.
You know, the last 3 episodes are all episodes that are going to get kicked off YouTube. So I feel like this one will either go over very well or this could be the end of the podcast. Whatever. We got to talk about it. So
Yeah.
I did not. I don't even know where to start with this one. Does anybody want to kick this one off on the trans stuff? Because I'm kind of nervous as to where this is going to go.
Well,
I can start it if you want.
I think you should.
All right. Well,
It was your idea.
all right. It was my idea. Crap. Well, let's just start with a question. Do you guys, and I haven't really talked to you about this, do you guys think that biological women should be able to compete with biological men? Now, that would assume, let's go the other way. Actually, let's say, do you think that biological men should be able to go through hormone replacement therapy, where they basically shut down the testosterone in their body, and I believe they also replace it with estrogen, don't they?
I don't know.
And I think the NCAA requirement is 1 year. You have to do that for 1 year. And then after a year, you have transitioned and you can compete in women's sports. That's like what Leah Thomas did, where she just won the 500-yard freestyle, right? The NCAA championship. So he was a dude. Then he was a dude trapped in a female body, decided he was going to transition. And then he went through the transition. And then he stopped competing in men's swimming, which he was ranked like 554th in the country in men's, transferred over to women's, and won the title in his first year. What do you think?
I think the people that support the law should be fired.
What law?
Wait, yeah.
That they support that rule, that
Oh.
ruling. The people that come up with that ruling.
You mean the NCAA ruling?
Yeah, they should be fired.
So
So he should have his winnings stripped.
So you're middle of the road?
Yeah, a little.
I don't know. What do you think, T?
So I'll preface by saying, because I feel like we have to preface now because there's no room for conversation and open thought, that I fully support people in their decision to do whatever they want. But at the same time, when it comes to sports especially, I feel like it should be based on biology, not gender identity.
Why?
I mean, you see it with like Leah Thomas, right? 550th ranked, right? And then goes into the female division as the national champion. It's biology dictates how men are built versus women. Women are great and there's strong women out there, but just our general biology has a structure different. We're meant to do things more physical versus sitting back type stuff. We're built to do the hard tasks.
Well, what do they say? Men are, on average, 40 to 50% larger than women, right?
Larger, yeah.
Like both muscle mass, bone density, ligament strength, tendon strength, height,
Yep.
all of it. I mean, all categories, men are about 40 to 50% larger. Okay.
Well, this goes.
Now, but they went through hormone replacement therapy. So,
But that doesn't undo you're in college, 20-some years of testosterone you got as a male.
so your
1
bones
year.
are still...
Your bones are still developed. Your muscles are still developed. You still have that muscular, structure.
All right, so let me ask you this. Is there any situation you could think of where a biological male, it would be okay for them to compete in female sports?
I think this has been kind of an odd scenario for probably the last at least 5 years, because you have a lot of girls that want to compete in boys sports, and it's like it's really a weird scenario now, like wrestling. So the girls want to be on the wrestling teams, and so it's like it's really weird, because I would say it's okay for girls to compete in boys sports, but not boys to compete in girl sports.
Well,
but then there's times when I think, like, you know, I don't know how it's kind of weird that girls are wrestling against boys, like, and then it's, you know, why would it be weird? Like, because some of the girls are beating the boys in wrestling. It's just like, I don't know.
See,
It's really like
I
confusing.
don't have a problem with girls competing in boys sports. If you're athletic enough to hang with the big dogs, have at it, Hoss. Like, get in there and do it.
Say if you qualify and you're competitive, then absolutely.
Right,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
then-
you
but then
had
should-
Danny, whatever her name was a NASCAR driver. I mean, she was terrible, but she made the cut. You had the woman who was a goalie for, I think it was Toronto, also terrible. I think she was last string. It might have been a publicity stunt. Nobody can get an answer on that. But she was at least good enough to be on the team. You had a female kicker in the NFL at one point,
I'd
didn't you?
say in college or
College, I think you're right.
Well, there was, college there definitely was. In college, we had one on my team.
Yeah.
She was our field goal kicker, and she did a hell of a job.
And I'm going to tell you this. I've known a couple of high-level female athletes. Guys don't care. Like, if you're on a team and there's a chick that can boot a 47-yard field goal consistently, and the next closest thing you got is some guy you grabbed off the soccer team who can't put something between the uprights at 25 yards, you're high-fiving the crap out of that woman, and she's part of the team.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Athletes don't... athleticism, high-level athletics is the ultimate meritocracy. I mean, it's all about performance. Like, who gives a crud? I mean, that's why, you know, this social Jackie Robinson and spacing on the name, but the guy in the 1930s Olympics, whatever. But way before there was equality in race in the United States, sports was doing it. And the reason why was because sports didn't care. They just wanted to see awesome sports. Like, sports, traditionally, the military, there's a couple of places where merit is all that matters. And then society follows or doesn't or whatever, but that usually becomes the way in. But at no point was Jackie Robinson juicing that we know of. He was just an awesome ball player, and he cracked the race barrier in baseball. I mean, there's a sound effect.
So have we just gotten to a point in time where we're done with, like, male and female sports, and it's just like,
Well, I guess, is that the question?
Well,
I mean,
say just
because
this
if you
little
did that, if
conversation-
you just forget about male and female sports, and then you just put down, now you've just got your super competitive athletes all grouped together, and you're
do it
Yeah,
by
but
qualification.
secondary.
But the problem
athletes,
is there
and
is
then,
absolutely-
and then nobody's feelings have to get
but that's
hurt.
not the end of competitive sports. That's the end of female sports. All you've done there is kill female
absolutely
sports.
true.
Because there is not a single sport, like high-level sport, that female can regularly compete in. I mean, the WNBA, was it the WNBA where a high school boys team beat one of the WNBA teams? Wasn't that?
I don't.
We might have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure that happened. I mean, the athleticism difference between men and women is so dramatic.
When one example I think I always hear is high school track runners on the male team are there are a few, I don't know what the numbers are, but they're faster than some of the world records for women's track.
Yes, I've read that as well.
Like, you can get guys in high school who are going to go nowhere. They're not even the fastest in the world. They're still out running.
They're not even fast in their school all the time.
Right.
And they might be able to outperform a national record or even a world record.
Well, they want equal rights, right?
Well, no, there's equality does not mean equal outcome. Like, equality means you have the opportunity to play.
To do
It does not mean, so the fact that, and even the WNBA, it folded at one point. Like, you had the opportunity to play, but if you can't bring fans in, and if you can't make it entertaining, and if nobody cares, and I had this conversation with my friend's wife at one point. She was very upset that ballet dancers don't make more money. And I was like, nobody goes to the ballet. You're selling a product nobody wants. I was like, I understand that you see it as a cultural art. I was like, but there's a lot of starving artists out there. I was like, we shouldn't pay you just because you like ballet.
Yeah,
That's you making it all about you.
Musicians, artists.
Yeah.
I mean, pottery makers, like everybody.
And Nickelback is terrible, but they're billionaires. I was like, why? Because they made something people want. I guess. I don't know who wants Nickelback.
That's just
Their
part
first
of,
album
part
was
of being
pretty
an
good.
artist.
It was pretty good. I hate to admit it, but it was. I liked it. I mean, do you want to? And that's why they call them sellouts. Do you want to sell out, or do you want to be poor and starving? But you don't get paid just because you have a passion. I mean, there's a lot of people out there with passions that don't make any sense. You don't get paid for it. I know a woman that's crazy about chia pets. She's got like 40 of them in her house. Nobody's gonna pay her to make more chia pets. She's just got a weird hobby, right?
Yeah.
Like, just I don't. That stuff drives me crazy. You're so stuck in your own head, and you're so committed to your own thing that you forget that the world doesn't revolve around that. Like,
Yeah.
And this is part of that societal codependence thing we've been doing lately. I don't know what this is, but instead of letting people find their own way with their own passion, with their own place in the world, we're forcing it on the rest of the world. And that's I think where all this pushback is coming from.
Let people fall on their face.
What is your opinion on trans people?
I have no opinion. I mean, honestly, I think it's some kind of mental disorder.
Okay, but
Yeah,
if your wife brought home a friend who was trans,
I mean, I'm going to judge the person on the person. If the person comes in and if they're a weirdo and it's obvious, like you're just a mental case, head case, get out. But if it's like a legitimate quality person who I guess just has this weird fetish, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
just called trans a weird fetish.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
Do we have to bleep that? I don't know.
don't know.
That's where we get shadow banned.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have a problem with like just. I mean, I'm judging the person by the quality of the character.
So you're Dr.
I mean,
King.
I don't
Oh,
care
yeah.
about gay people. I don't care about transgender people. I haven't met a bunch of transgender people. All I know is that it seems like a really weird scenario. Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, it just seems crazy. And one of my friend's wife said to me that, back in the day, George Washington, all those guys were wearing wigs, and like this isn't really an old thing. Like maybe it got pushed under the carpet and
What, is it-
silenced.
Wait, is your
Well,
friend?
like men wore wigs and stuff. I don't know. She tried to
I don't
justify
think wigs really have anything to do with the transgender.
She somehow she came around to try to justify it, like it was just like this is something men do forever.
Well, look,
or
to have
people
to
do
justify
forever.
trans, you have to have a population that gives a crap. I don't think I know a single person that even cares about trans people. They're like, hey, if you're cool, that's exactly what you said. Is
cool person.
what I always hear. If you're cool, you're cool. I know two. I know a lot of gay people. I don't really know that many trans people. I know exactly two. And they're both, one of them's definitely an oddball. Like, I don't really like hanging out with her. But the other one, he's pretty cool. Like, he's not a she anymore. And
How do you like? It's just got to be awkward.
No, it's like you said. It's once you get to know. At first it was weird because I knew him before he transitioned, and that was weird for me because I was like, oh, you're a dude now, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, how's that working out for you? And he's like, meh, and I was like, want to shoot pool? And he's like, I still like pool, and then it was fine, but it was weird. He's the only person I have ever known that I knew before transitioning, and then I only knew one other personally. I've like met people, but
I just can't even
transition. But I met them after they transitioned. So
I can't even like begin to relate mentally. It's just like, it just puts my head in a tizzy. Like, yeah, I don't know. So
I get that.
I don't know how you. I guess if I was in a situation where I had hung out with a couple of them and maybe had a conversation, understood. I mean, like I have a conversation with you guys. I get your point of view. You explain yourself. Like maybe it's just that all it requires.
Aren't most first
I don't know.
impressions in meetings awkward though, to some extent? Some less than others, but for the most part, it's an awkward situation.
Definitely anybody that's dramatically different from you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not really you either. If it's a good person, you're going to judge them by being a good person. If they're a shitty person, they're a shitty person. Doesn't matter what gender.
No. It's just it's an immediate obstacle because you're like, whoa. I guess.
Interesting. I never really thought of it that way. Okay. Well, can we all agree that Laurel Hubbard's kind of an ass?
Well, that
Going to the Olympics in a weightlifting competition as a dude. That ain't right.
I mean, it's just stupid.
He didn't win a medal. So, or she. Is it?
I don't.
You know what?
I don't
I can't say
remember.
with the pro down game. I don't,
No,
it's
he.
Is it he?
Yeah.
Wait,
He's cheating.
Well, no, she transitioned. I don't freaking know the pro down game. She transitioned and then
we're talking about two
competed
different people.
in women's weightlifting in the Olympics, but didn't medal. Then
No,
again,
wait.
she was like 45 years old. Though.
No, wait.
Everybody else
He,
was in their
right,
20s.
turned into a girl and then went and competed in the women's. He competed in women's
It was a
Olympics as
he.
girl.
Now she's a she.
He is a cheater.
Okay. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting to pick up on where Jimmy's stance is on this. All right, I'm getting it. All right, I got it.
He's a lousy example of a respectable athlete.
Okay, so all right. So we talked about biological men competing are we all in agreement that biological men, no matter how much transition they go through, should not be able to compete in biological female competitions? Is that something we all agree on, or do we have a dissenter here?
No, I pretty much agree.
All right, what about
I guess I suppose it's up to all the women that he's competing against.
Well, no, I just mean us three. Like nobody else
They-
is on
they-
this podcast.
All the women should be able to vote.
Oh, they're pretty pissed.
Yeah,
They're not
I would
happy.
imagine.
Flip it. What about biological females competing against biological men?
I don't care because I don't think they have an advantage.
All right, but hold on.
But that's.
But they're taking testosterone, which is a performance-enhancing drug.
Oh, well,
That's
then
part of the transition.
Well, then that's illegal,
Wait.
right? You can't take testosterone.
And it gets complicated, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly why they just shouldn't be allowed to compete in sports.
but they're taking
and-
testosterone at the same level as men.
So it's biological female competing against male.
Biological female who has transitioned to a man, and he is on hormone replacement, feeding testosterone into his system.
which is illegal as a male athlete.
It is illegal to introduce foreign substances into your body,
Yeah.
but he is doing it at the level that men naturally produce it.
Nah, cheater. Cheater.
Well, see,
Go, I love what Jimmy said, but I want to hear what Tyler has to say.
I'd have to look into the science of it more, but is it really going to have an effect on their muscular structure? And
I mean, it
they're
will.
not getting they're not getting thicker bones.
No, they
right?
won't get thicker bone. It might marginally,
but not again the 20.
unless they
20
transitioned
years,
at the age of 5. I mean, it's
which is
probably-
another ethical issue.
Whoa, we're gonna talk about that later.
But so it's not going to give them an unfair advantage. But then again, I think because I always go back to like mixed martial arts,
Okay,
right? So if you put a female to male trans person in the octagon with a biological male,
she's gonna die.
yeah,
No,
like,
he, whatever. That
yeah,
the trans person is gonna die.
Is going to die.
It will die.
If you put me in that octagon, I'm gonna
I would
die.
die.
And I'm
Yeah,
I'm a
exactly.
relatively sturdy individual.
Yeah, I've taken punches.
But then you would probably get your ass whooped by the transgender.
probably.
Training
Probably. I mean, I'm pretty
There's
old.
still that gap, though, right? They're going to have maybe an equal training regiment, but there's still just that natural gap that's there.
I don't
one
think that
punch.
they necessarily have the that they get the advantage, but they still, if it's illegal to take the performance enhancing chemical, no matter what it is, for whatever reason, like you can't make an exception.
Well, not only that.
Like either it's illegal or it's not.
Not only that, but if you're gonna ban men from transitioning to women and competing, that actually feels unethical to allow women to transition to men and compete.
Yeah.
Now it feels sexist. I'm not sure which sex. It's very confusing, but it does feel sexist. Like I feel like you're picking one over the other. If you're gonna ban switching genders, just ban it. Like I don't know why you got to make all sorts of exceptions. I mean, this is what they do in sports. They make tons and tons of rules. Have you ever seen the baseball sports book?
No, it's ridiculous.
Nobody knows all the rules to baseball. It's insane. Like, stop making crazy rules. Just, you know what? If you want to compete competitively, just stay your gender until you're done. Then go transition. Go nuts. Or stop competing competitively.
Yeah, you just lose your opportunity.
Yeah, you made a
That's it.
decision. Like, own your decision. Your
Or
decision is
you
going to bring you personal
or you
happiness.
stay where you can compete where you came from.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
I mean, I can't imagine an equivalent. What would be the equivalent of somebody not like a physical change to their body that somebody would do there's nothing I could find that would be an equivalent to this in the sports world. Like what, you decide you want to cut your leg off, like, and all of a sudden you can't compete in sports and you blame the system.
It would be like a wide receiver wanting to play offensive line.
And then being upset.
And then that they're getting smashed every 2 seconds because they can't handle a 350-pound man.
Because you're not a lineman.
Exactly.
That is kind of what it's like. It's like demanding it, but we have this codependent society where we're like, you can be anything you want. Get in there, Randy Moss, and you be a tackle.
Tackle, yeah.
Randy Moss would die as a tackle. Like, you kidding me? John Runyon would take Randy Moss, pick him up, snap him like a twig, and throw him in the stands, and then walk into the end zone and spike his shin bone. Like, it's not, there's no physical equivalency there that's even relevant. I think that might be the best example I've ever heard. The difference is, in men's sports, we tell that wide receiver, shut up and play your role or get off the team.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when it comes to trans, we get all codependent and we're like, you can do anything. Go for it. And it's like, no, you can't do anything. This is the biggest fallacy in America. You can't do anything. If you've got an IQ of 96, you're not going to be an astronaut. I don't know who's telling you that, but it's not going to happen. Right? You can do anything as long as you've got a skill for it, you're physically capable, and they're hiring. All right, that's pretty much the requirements. Like, then you can do anything within that framework.
It goes back to, like, it's almost like this special exception because they're the special people.
For now.
Like, they're damaged goods, and it's like everybody's like, oh, okay, you can do whatever you want.
You know what drives me crazy?
Okay.
Like 10 years ago, women were the special people. It was all about, equality of the sexes, and it was the big Me Too movement. Remember all that? Mm-hmm. And now we're punching down on women. We're literally sending men in to kick them in the crotch at their own sports. Like, it's like, what, I guess that, so at what point does society turn on trans? I mean, the gay community hates this. I mean, all of my gay friends are like, we hate this. They're like, we got equality through telling people we're not going to make you do anything, just leave us alone. They're like, our entire movement was, we're here, you're going to have to deal with us, but we're not going to make you do anything, just stop being bigots. Like, that was their entire movement. Yeah. And within they were like the paragon of societal change. Within one generation, everybody was like,
I think it was already,
cool.
they had succeeded.
Yeah, they already succeeded.
I don't know what the hell this is.
And you know how they succeeded? They didn't make anybody do anything. They just said, just be cool. We're gonna have our own.
Just let us do our thing.
We're gonna do awesome in jobs. We're gonna be cool people. We're gonna be a lot of fun at the bar, and you don't have to do a darn thing if you don't want to. Just let us be awesome. And everybody said, oh, well, that does seem pretty easy. Okay. But the problem here is, I feel like every time I hear about the trans movement, I have to do something. Like, I have to change how I talk to my kid, or I have to change how I use pronouns, or I have to change how I refer to human beings, and I have to change my sports, and I have to change all my record books. And why do I have to do stuff? Just be trans and be awesome. And if you're awesome, people will love you. The gay community proved it. Just be awesome. My gay friends are awesome. They full disclosure, they like tequila too much. I will say that. I don't know if that's a gay community thing or if it's just my gay friends, but God damn it, they break out the Patron all the time. And I'm old. I can't do that. I don't know how they handle it. It's brutal. But other than that, they're phenomenal. It's the hangovers that get you with the gay community. I don't know. All right, so I think we've kind of agreed. No, we didn't. We didn't actually agree on anything with the women to men.
No.
So what do we think on that?
I think we're being bigots.
Well, clearly.
Why is it good? That's where it trips me up, like, because I feel like, well, it's okay for women to do it, but not men, and so it really shouldn't go either way.
Well, and
but then what happens when the females want to compete in male sports, and then you want to say no?
I want to say yes.
Like, right, but then you don't want to let men compete in female sports.
No.
Right.
Female sports exist exclusively to give opportunity to women because they can't compete in men's sports. The whole reason for that exist is to keep men out. That is their sole purpose of existing. That's the exact same sports, with the exception of like field hockey. It's the same sports. Mm-hmm. They're out there. They're playing the same things we're playing. They're just doing it at a level that is not quite as high. because they just don't have the exact same skill set. And that's not a detriment. That's not a knock on them. They can do stuff we can't do.
Well, the other thing I think
I can't have a baby. Like that is kind of a huge feather in their cap physically, but that is why they get shortchanged on the physical athleticism, is because their body converts over to, we need resources.
Well, you could have a baby if you want. You should be able to have a baby.
Damn, I mean, I can't like make it in my non-existent womb.
Now you can.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Give
someday.
science and technology enough time.
I've seen birth. My wife gave birth. I have no interest in adding a womb.
I'm there too.
That's like, quite honestly, let's call spade a spade. That is also a male advantage. Like we got all the physical advantages. We just die young. And you know what? It's fair trade in my mind. Run faster, lift more. I don't have to push things out of my crotch, and I lose a couple of years. You know, whatever. If you had told me that when I was a kid, I would have been like, sold.
Yeah.
I'll do what, 5
Male,
years? That's
male,
not that big a
male.
deal.
I'm getting the male line.
Nothing out of my crotch, right? Well, occasionally you got to take a dump. I'm fine with that. That's fine.
It seems like there's like a movement to beef up girls and weaken boys.
Yeah.
Seems like,
feel
you know,
that?
it seems like all the girls are being pushed harder.
You mean
play-
toxic masculinity?
Play sports with men, you know, wrestle, lift weights, work out, be strong, and then the boys are like becoming dainty.
I mean, I'm
Like,
okay
is this-
with
this seems
encouraging
like-
women to be more aggressive, but not at the expense of safety. And like Tyler said earlier, you cannot throw a 130-pound woman against a 130-pound man in the octagon. That woman is going to die. It's not the same biology. I mean, I don't care if they weigh the exact same
I guess the
amount.
sport's different, right? So, like, let's say swimming, for example. Well, here we had a swimming scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, what about soccer? Like, there are sports, like, swimming is an independent.
Soccer was the example. A high school soccer team beat the U.S. national team.
Okay, so.
That was the example. Thank you.
Okay. So, but then, like, you need 11 girls on a soccer team. So in certain, you know, in that sport, that's really hard if you don't have, there's not a ton of athletic girls. So I think sometimes.
I disagree. I think there's a lot of athletic girls.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think it's.
Well, I don't know if it's okay.
Your daughter is a huge athlete.
Well, yeah, but
She can bench press
But
me,
I
I
don't.
think.
But I don't think that I don't know that every girl on every soccer team is necessarily an athlete.
I don't think every guy on every soccer
like-
team is
Male sports,
necessarily.
too.
Yeah, I
Like-
think.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you have okay, what I'm trying to say is that
I like
we
when this
struggle. I think that a girl is struggling more to be part of a quality team than a boy would be, right? So a girl could be on part of a soccer team where she could really be a pretty outstanding player, and then move over to the boys soccer team and probably hold her own there. But then over on the girls soccer team, it could be like just like no competition to where the point where she actually is not able to excel very well.
I wholly disagree with that. I think that exact same scenario happens when kids graduate high school and they go to college. And maybe you had a championship soccer team, but one of them became any good at college and the rest of them ended up drinking at frat parties. Like, just because you're the best on your team doesn't mean the rest of your team sucks. And I think it's the exact same ratio for women and for men. I think girls' teams are going to have a solid... I've known some girls' teams that are rock tight. Like, they have played together for years. They are all great athletes. Are some better than others? Sure. Are maybe one of them good enough that they might be able to hang with the boys? Yeah. And hang with the boys, I mean hang with boys in the same sport at the same level. I don't mean hang with me. Like, a female soccer team would destroy me. I don't play soccer.
It's too much running.
Yeah, it's definitely too much running. I mean, so you've got to preface all this stuff too. Like, I'm not using myself as a benchmark. Now, granted, if you wanted to put me up against girls, I feel pretty confident in my ability to lift weights. But I'm a big guy, and that's what I've done for 30 years. But even still, 44 years old, got bad shoulders, bad knees. Like, there's going to be women out there in their 20s that can whoop me. Mm-hmm. I'm sure. I mean, but once you compare apples to apples, if you take the best female high school soccer team in the country and the best male high school soccer team in the country, you're going to have standouts. You're going to have rock solid players. You're probably going to have the weak ones on the team, and it's going to be the same on both teams. I guarantee it.
Okay, then why at all are we letting girls compete in boys sports? and
A
not
lot of-
boys and not
well,
boys
so-
and girl sports.
A lot of times it's because, well, I mean, boys can compete in girl sports. It's where's the opportunity, right? We had a girl on our football team in college because there was no college girls team. She came and competed with us. I know I think it was when we were in high school, my wife played against a boy on a field hockey team because he wanted to play field hockey and there were no male teams. So you can, but if there's 2 swimming teams, one's boys, one's girls, then you go to the boys and you go to the girls. Soccer, same way. There's usually a female and a male version of that. Baseball, softball, that type of deal. But there are sports that are very male-driven and very female-driven.
So if in school the like if there's not a girls and a boys team, then your pro boys can play on. We're saying that's okay.
Again, it's going to come down to the sport. Like, what are you going to do in
Field hockey. Field hockey is a perfect.
They're going to hit the ball maybe a little bit harder. But do you ever see some of them field hockey chicks?
I don't want to mess with
I
them.
haven't watched a whole bunch
My
of
wife's
field
one,
hockey.
and I'm terrified of her
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and men have there's a male version of field hockey. It's called lacrosse.
Yeah, well, and I think it's big in Europe too, like parts of Europe.
Yeah, they
male
play field hockey in Europe.
But
We play lacrosse here instead.
Yeah.
But it's basically stick ball.
Yeah.
It's a similar concept that we just modified it for what guys like.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I still agree with that, but I do kind of agree with what you're saying. Like if there is not a male equivalent, but there are some that are close. Like what about softball and baseball?
yeah, I mean, again, they're basically the same sport. I'm trying to think where the advantage would be there because you get to the college level, some of those girls are pitching 80 miles an hour. That's
Well,
what
yeah,
see
I
in
know, but
college.
have you ever seen a guy that's gotten really good at a softball pitch? They're whipping it like 110.
You see, and I haven't seen that.
It's
so.
not common, but every once in a while a pitcher will learn a softball pitch, and
Yeah.
guys can hurl it, especially a tall guy.
when
You got
I
a
was-
guy with a windmill.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, there was this guy in our neighborhood that he was a fast pitch softball, and we get into snowball fights with him. He used to destroy kids.
Just like dead kids laying all over Jimmy's.
It was just like to stand back and watch him wing snowballs. I mean, it was crazy. And we were like 4th grade.
That's
I mean,
awesome, though.
He'd go swinging around the house.
Kids' hats
And
fly
nail
off.
him. And he was so accurate, too. Like, he would just drill people with snowballs.
We got to take a break. I love that. We'll come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about society and some other topics, including some of the stuff that's happening in the news. So stick around.
We're killing people building houses. How many people did we kill building railroads? How many people did we kill building the Hoover Dam?
How many roofers have shit knees?
Yeah.
I mean, almost every
Yeah.
single except for you.
Oh,
Almost
but
every single-
everybody, well, yeah, but they won't hesitate to call a roofer to come fix their roof. Right?
Yep. But
In
nobody's
spite of
giving
the
them a
fact,
big cash settlement.
how many people fall off roofs and die, but we don't start building buildings without roofs.
Apparently, you guys need a better lobby.
I think it's just the NFL is the most popular sport in America.
Well, I think what they did is they did what always happens.
think
And I guess we're
whining-
probably recording now because I might as well say this on camera. They appealed to white moms. And as soon as you get white moms involved, everything goes to crap. Who was it? It was that comedian Bill Burr. Bill Burr said, I'm not sure who started it. He goes, I don't know what's going on in the world right now, but I'm pretty sure white women started it. and I heard that and I laughed so hard. And then I got introspective and said, why did I just laugh so hard at that? And then I realized I agree with it. I was like, I'm 100% sure. Not my wife. My wife's a badass. She's great. And I'm sure your wives are great too.
No, and it's funny you say it because I mean, my hometown is a football town, but there are a lot of kids who are not allowed to play football.
And is it their dad?
It's because of, no, it's not.
It's not, exactly.
I know because we were standing at Jack's has flag football now, and we were standing there, and there was a kid who plays baseball. And one of the coaches was talking to him like, hey, "You should come out to football." He's a big kid. Like, he's like, "I want to," and he must have been with a friend's mom or his aunt. I started already.
Thank you.
And she just turned around and said, "No, mom won't let him play.
Yeah, it's
She'll keep him from it."
yeah. It's that suburban white mom dictates the
Mama
terms in this country right now,
Mhm.
and it's really starting to become a problem.
My wife was always yelling at my son not to do headers in soccer.
And realistically, you get more concussions doing that than you do playing football.
You just go on a jet ski. Your brain's slamming against your skull all the time.
Yeah, but it's so much fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. My wife, every once in a while, she'll go white suburban mom on me, and I of course ignore her, which is not great for my marriage. But I'm always like, she's fine, knock it off. And then I'll take my daughter out and do something insane. But every single time, that's the story my daughter talks about for the next 6 months. It's not the thing she wasn't allowed to do. It was the thing that Dad said, leave it alone. I'm doing this anyway. And then we went out and caught a marlin, or whatever the hell we were doing that day.
And then she's like, your wife asked her what she's doing. I'm going with Daddy to get a concussion.
No, yeah. Unfortunately, she
Me and
never.
Daddy are going to go do concussions today.
Yeah, she never lies for me. I ask her to all the time, which makes me a great father, but she does not. Well, who's that? There's a Canadian psychologist who's awesome. I forget his name right now. But he said the greatest fallacy in parenting going on right now is parents think they're supposed to keep their kids safe. And that's wrong. What you're supposed to do is control risk. But they need to take risk, controlled risk, or else they never learn their limits. And they end up failing horribly at some point and have no basis for how to deal with it. And he's very, very adamant about this, and I agree with him. Like, you must push the limits within reason. Your job is to make sure that they don't go beyond the limit, but your job is not to protect them from risk. They must take risk. That's part of growing up.
Say I've been forcing my son to take more risks because he was very reserved. I mean, bought him a skateboard. It's
Nice.
like, we're going skateboarding, dude. Let's do this.
Did you go skateboarding?
Yeah, I bought a skateboard too. It's awesome.
I'm not going to lie. I need a video of you skateboarding.
Oh, if you go on my wife's Facebook, you'll see me trying to drop in.
Oh my God, please.
Hold my
gotta-
brother's
On the
hands.
pi-
We have
on-
to find this and put it on the podcast.
Where'd you get a half at?
Huh?
What, you got a half?
So Denver has an awesome skateboard.
Oh, yeah, it is nice
Denver
over
has
there,
an
isn't it?
awesome
No offense,
skateboard.
but where did you find a skateboard weight rated for you? Like,
Well, so
you're like a small bear.
I took Jax and Emmy to the one local skate park, and I don't really like to stand around like I like to do, but I was standing around for this, and I was kind of I just went up to another dude and I was like, dude, I'm 270. What kind of skateboard would I need? He's like, get an 8.5-inch deck. They're pretty beefy. I was like, all right, cool. So I went out and bought one,
That's so awesome.
and I have all the pads though too.
Every major injury I've ever had came from a skateboard.
Yeah, I think so far I'm the only one who got injured. I tore off like part of this. It just healed, but there was
Just
a
skin,
big
though?
gash. Yeah, I mean it was pretty deep once I looked at it.
Yeah, but skin comes
It was
back.
skin. Actually, I'd say my brother got into it too. He's built like me. He's doing it with Jax too. So it's like
That's cool.
2 old guys and an 8-year-old. But it was the whole point of it was to get him. It's okay to take risk and get hurt.
You
Just
know-
manage it.
You know what he's doing?
What?
He's grooming his kids.
Oh, groomer.
He's grooming.
Groomer.
Yeah, look at you. You
Trying to
filthy
make him a
animal. He's grooming.
skateboarder.
You're adding your toxic masculinity to their childhood.
I mean, I do it for my daughter too, right? Don't be afraid of anything.
Toxic masculinity doesn't apply just to boys.
That's whatever.
You can infect your daughter with it.
I don't know. I'd rather take risk and have fun and teach my kids that than sit in a bubble and then die.
Yeah, that's just called being awesome. I don't know where this toxic masculinity came from. I will say, if there's toxic masculinity, there's totally toxic femininity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, equally as bad. Equally, if not worse, but that might be a perspective issue.
Yeah, because that's making a generation of sissies.
Jesus Christ.
It does. We have a serious problem with masculinity.
Judgmental sissies. like they always have an opinion on stuff.
I feel like my wife was so soft that I had to be extra hard.
On the kids, you mean?
Yeah. And that was a little frustrating at times. It's like, you know what? You're so far over there. Like, I'm already excessive, and now I got to take myself and the kids to a whole nother level.
I had to stab one of the kids yesterday. That's your fault.
I had to just take him out and throw him off the roof just because.
I don't know. I don't believe in toxic masculinity. I believe there are bad dudes. And I think even dudes recognize that. But I think being a dude is not a bad thing. Just like being a woman is not a bad thing. And I think throwing terms around like that, it just hurts us all.
That's why it takes men and women to raise children, because you have to have the hard and the soft side.
Absolutely.
And then if you have a weak man and the strong woman, then the kids don't get maybe this.
Well, it works
I
both
shouldn't
ways.
say
If you
that.
have a
I
weak
shouldn't
man and a
say
strong
that.
woman, you're getting the same output.
I guess you
Like,
could flip flop that.
absolutely. You just need a strong parent, and you need a soft parent too. You need somebody that's going to give the hugs when, when the strong mom or the strong dad brings them home covered in brush burns,
Or
I mean,
vice
it
versa,
happens.
or if you
or
have
poison ivy, or their pinky's bent the wrong way. The standard stuff that we do.
I guess it could go the other way. You have the strong woman,
Absolutely, and I know
then
plenty of strong. Actually, my wife's a strong woman in business, but she is soft as crap with our kid, and it's weird to me because it's a whole other side of her that I didn't see until we had a daughter.
That's my wife too.
Is it? But when she gets in the workforce, she's like a butt kicker.
She kicks ass in her job, but
Mine's the same way.
the kids, and there are times where they push her far enough that she finally is like, she kind of not loses it, but like they pushed her.
Yeah, but when they lose it,
They really lose
they
it.
lose it hard. Like
Yeah,
I never
I'm
lose
like,
it hard with my daughter.
Chill. Like you're.
Yeah. Like I might get in their face a little bit, but I never yell. Like I'll lean down with the crazy eyes, and they know it's over. Like they know because they're not quite sure where it's going to go, but they're pretty sure Dad might snap in half and go out the
but
window.
she's still young.
But if if my wife, because my mom used to do this too,
she's not a teenager.
if my wife starts screaming, they're like, because they know she's never going to take it to the next level. Like me, I'll start snapping their toys in half. I'll throw them in the pool. Like, I'll light things on fire. Like if they really push me.
I'll be interested to see how you handle the teenage years.
I'm gonna ruin my relationship with my daughter. Why do you ask? Like, I know where this goes. Like,
Well, I don't. It doesn't really necessarily ruin.
It's gonna be a
relationship,
flaming
but
pit
It
of
is
despair, my
definitely.
friend.
It's a challenge, man. The girl world is a world.
There's so much more. Anybody that says boys and girls are not different has never had kids. I don't know how you can say that if you've had kids. My daughter is so much more in tune to her emotional state than I am. I have like 3 emotions and 2 of them are hungry. Like I don't understand. She'll go through like 9 emotions in like a 5-minute conversation, and I don't even know where they're coming from or
You're just
why they're
confused by
happening.
all the.
It's very confusing, and all I want is a snack and a nap. And it's very exhausting to me. And then I just send her to her room, and I don't even understand what happened, but at least there's quiet. I just want there to be quiet for a few minutes. And
You sit down, you're like, whoa, that was crazy.
it was a lot of emotion.
I'm not even quite sure what happened there.
Is the Masters on? And then I move on. Like I'm not gonna hang on it either. But I don't know. There's a level of complexity there that I don't possess. And I don't know. We were talking about this at the office too. Like all the guys in our office are engineers, and every single one of them has the exact same talent that I have, which is that ability to laser focus in on a singular thing, and everything else goes gray. Like you're doing one thing, and you're doing it at a level that is just peaked out. Like you were totally engaged 100%. And next thing you know, 9 hours went by, the sun went down. You didn't realize you ran out of music, and the boombox went off 6 hours ago, but you totally didn't realize that either. And you had built a really crappy bird feeder, or whatever you're working on at the time. My wife does not possess that, or my daughter, but they will go through so much stuff in that same period of time that I don't understand what's happening. Like they'll go through emotions, they'll have conversations, they'll have epiphanies, they'll have things that ruin their lives and then things that make their lives great. They'll have entire ecosystems of revelations that I don't even like experience in a lifetime in like a 9-hour period when I built a bird box. And I'm like, just focus on something and stop doing all the other stuff.
Here, build a bird box.
But they didn't get anything done. You ever notice that? Like nothing got done, but they have all these stories about their day. And I'm like, I did something. And they're like, that's lame, Dad. And I'm like, all right. I don't know what to tell you. Damn it. I'm going to go hang my crappy bird box. All right. So while we're talking about the genders, all right. So what do you want to get into? Do you want to stick with the trans, or do you want to get into I want to talk about the schooling stuff.
Okay.
Because for anybody who's watching this doesn't know, I ran for school board last 2020. It was a writing campaign. I only had like 3 months to put it together. Did pretty well, but didn't win. But a big part of the reason I was running was because of a lot of this sexual orientation training stuff. I just was not, I'm not on board. I'm not on board not because I care about trans or gay or straight or any of that stuff. I wasn't on board because at the time I had a 2nd grader and she could barely tie her shoes and was just learning how to multiply. And I'm 100% sure she was like not mentally capable of tackling more advanced topics. I know a lot of adults that aren't mentally capable of tackling this. I don't think Jimmy's mentally capable of tackling this.
No, I'm not. I confess.
So I wanted to get involved locally. We've got DeSantis in Florida, who signed the parental rights bill, which I think they affectionately call "Don't Say Gay," which is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Nothing like shutting down a conversation by making up a fake name. Don't say gay. That's what they nicknamed it, which is not even remotely.
Don't say gay. What's wrong with gay?
I don't know. There's nothing. They made up the name. It's not even part of the bill. It has nothing to do with it. It basically, what the bill says is you're not allowed to formally introduce sexual training of any type, whether it's gay, straight, anything, until you're past the 3rd grade. Like, just focus on core stuff. Focus on reading, writing, arithmetic, science, all that stuff.
They shouldn't talk about it until the kids are getting into the point where they're attracted to people.
Well, even
like
then,
once they're started, which is like about 7th grade, like 6th, in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, you're starting to maybe think about things, but it's not until about 7th grade.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty adequate.
6th, 7th grade is.
That's when you introduce those conversations. It doesn't need to be any sooner, just because the gay and the trans people want it.
Yeah, and even then, you got to do it delicately. Like, you don't want to just like jump into it.
Yeah, why do you want to get them so early? Like, what is it? We want to get in their brain and mess with their brain. What's the purpose of getting to them early?
I don't know, but you want to hear something messed up? New Jersey just mandated sexual orientation training for 1st graders.
So we should sink New Jersey.
I mean, they already sank themselves years ago. It's New Jersey.
We just go
and Pennsylvania.
Cut the state.
Well, hold on. So you got to cut into Pennsylvania too, because Pennsylvania's Board of Education just supported sexual orientation training for 6 and 7-year-olds across the state.
Yeah.
So we've got New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I don't know if there's other states doing it. I don't have full research on this, but I know those 2 facts are correct. Go ahead, as you were talking. So what do you think about all this?
I guess I'm going to have to go down with the ship.
I don't know what that means.
If New Jersey's got to go into the ocean and sink, I guess Pennsylvania's got to do it too.
So we're all okay.
No.
I mean, I ran for school board, but he's just gonna cut him off in the
I
country
don't
and sink him like Atlantis.
On a serious note, I mean,
so
really, is there is this serious? We got to talk about this stuff. All right, so I don't know. I just think that there's no reason to target kids with this. It's almost like a conspiracy to morph kids. I think it's a population control move. Let's get a generation to breed with the wrong sex so that we can reduce
Jesus
population.
Christ. All right, hold on. The rationale here, I'm pretty sure, is that the people who support these moves believe that children at younger ages are already starting to realize that they identify differently than their peers. So they might be a little 6 or 7-year-old boy, but they like to play with dolls, and people tell them that's weird, and they don't want them to feel weird. Or they might be a little 6 or 7-year-old girl who likes to hit people and play football, and people might say she's weird, and they don't want her to feel weird. So a lot of this comes from a place of trying to help children navigate the waters of being different from social norms.
So instead of stopping the adults from calling the girl weird because she's wants to hit people, we're going to tell her maybe you're actually like other girls, and when you grow up you're going to want to sleep with women. That's really the answer. That's what we figured out. How about the adults?
I don't think that's.
How about the adults just stop saying what they're saying, and we don't contaminate the children's brains.
This shit has gone off the rails,
didn't it? Did it?
I don't.
Am I thinking wrong?
Deep breath. Make your point again. I think I missed it.
Okay.
All right. Deep breath first.
So you're saying
it's never going to work without the deep breath. You got to put game face. Game face.
So we're
splash some water on.
So we're concerned that the girl in 3rd grade is hitting and fighting boys, and then we're telling her what, she's too masculine.
Yes.
Is that what's happening?
Society
is
telling her she's too masculine.
And so why not tell the adults, stop saying that. Why?
Well, it won't just be adults, like kids too, and like
Okay.
everything, bullying, like the society trying to put her into a mold is what they're trying to say, and they want her to be able to be like, I like to play football, and I want society to shut the F up, and this is their way of saying we need to explain to them that the societal norms that decide that boys play football and girls play field hockey are not correct if you don't feel like they're correct for you. That's the idea. That's the concept, is to introduce them early to the fact that society is wrong and you may feel differently from society, and that's okay.
So actually you might be a man inside a woman's body.
Yes.
That's how we're going to address it.
Yes.
Instead of...
Well, that's part of it, yes. Now, my counter to that is, at what point did that become the school's responsibility? Like, at what point did the state decide that they were responsible for telling children what they can and can't be? I was always under the impression that was what a parent was for. I'm not entirely sure with everything's going on right now what a parent is for.
I'm still confused as to why we've determined that to be like how we want to explain, because maybe the girl just grew up with her dad and
or she
they
has
watch
brothers.
football, and she has 3 brothers, and maybe they all play rough. And so
quite-
maybe she's just rough because she's around boys all the time and doing boys things, and maybe she's really not a girl trapped in a man's, or a man trapped in a girl's body. Maybe she just grew up around a bunch of boys.
I agree.
So I think that, I don't know, that's what I'm getting at. And the boy that plays with dolls, maybe he has sisters, and maybe his dad's not around, and maybe he's just a little doing things because he's in a scenario where he has no boy cousins and he's around girls all the time. Maybe he's really not a girl trapped in a boy's body. Maybe he's just like a product of his environment.
Or maybe just likes playing dolls.
And maybe
I played with G.I. Joes.
Let's say I played
Maybe
with Ninja
the-
Turtles.
Yeah.
Maybe the answer isn't to move in and try to convince the kid that he's a girl trapped in a boy's body, or she's a man trapped in a girl's body.
Look,
like that.
let's call a spade a spade.
That
All
seems
right.
a little off the rails to
Can
me.
we all be brutally honest with each other for a second? All right. I put on my mom's pumps when I was a kid. I wore my mom's dresses. I even tried lipstick. All right. If my mom had walked in this environment and saw me standing there in pumps and a dress and lipstick, I would have lost my ding dong. All right. I would have ended up on hormone replacement therapy at the age of 7. And next thing you know, I would have had full voluptuous breasts, which I'm okay with. I mean, I kind of have them now with a little moobie, but they're getting there. I'm working on them. But I mean, the bottom line is, I was 7. Okay, my mom wore pumps and a dress, and I had no concept of gender. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to be fancy," and I put on a dress. Yeah. It didn't make me any way, shape, or form sexually aware. All it made me was somebody that saw my parents' closet and said, the left side has stuff that I don't have. I'm going to see what's up with that. Right? It made me curious about the world. Right? And you know what my mom did? She said, "You're going to ruin my pumps. Take them off." She didn't get upset. She didn't make it weird. She didn't get nuts. She just said, "Don't wear my pumps. You're going to ruin them. I need those for when I go out to a fancy dinner." I didn't end up being transsexual or gay or anything else. I was a kid that put on some lipstick a couple of times because I saw my mom do it.
And I was dress up.
I was repeating behavior. All right. I think what we're doing is we are applying adult traits to children.
Yeah.
Right? We are saying these are things. If I was 26 and I put on my mom's dress and her pumps and I put on her lipstick, okay, it might be a different conversation. I see what you're saying. But at the age of 7,
the problem is you have this trans or this gay person now who's grown up and was suppressed all their feelings when they were a kid, and then they're looking at a situation, they're prejudging it, saying, "Oh, well, maybe that kid is suppressed, and I got to go in and rescue him and let them know that maybe they're."
Holy shit! Did Jimmy just make a coherent argument?
I think he did.
Jesus.
Well, this is what I was trying to say.
No,
maybe I'm just clear.
Let's just do the outro.
Do we end the? Is that?
We just stop. I think
Do
we're
we,
done.
no, do we end it permanently? Do we
think we're
never
done.
make another episode?
I think we're done. We
So
lost our
that's
whole
the
view.
final podcast.
He just dunked on us. He was like the Kembe Mutombo. Just smack. All right. Yeah, I could not agree more.
So I think we have, yeah, and
very
this is the
comfortable with what's
problem
happening
when weak people get in charge. You have this person that was whatever picked on, suffered, and now they're casting their feelings out at this little kid now, and now they're going to wreck these kids' lives. And at some point in time, You know, well, I have a topic we didn't quite get to yet, so I'm not going to jump the gun here, but I guess I'll end it there because you guys got what I'm saying.
Let me ask Jimmy something. Or no, not Jimmy, because your kids are older, and you're more than welcome to chime in. Let me ask Tyler something. You're at the supermarket. Clearly a dude, got a beard, everything, in a dress, walks into the supermarket in front of you, and your son goes, "Dad, is that guy wearing a dress?" What do you say?
Say yeah. That he's wearing a dress?
Yeah.
I'd say yeah. I mean, I think that's it.
And then if he goes, "Why?"
Why?
But I don't know. Let me teach their own, dude. Whatever.
See, this is the problem. We're making it more than it has to be. That's literally the only answer I got to do. Be like, hey, maybe he likes dresses. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you want to ask him? Maybe we go talk to him if you want. Like, I'll be like, hey, excuse me, sir. My son has a question. Like, did you really enjoy dresses? Or, ma'am, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
You're wearing the beard. I'm assuming, sir. But I might be wrong. I apologize.
As far as I'm concerned, unless he's coming over and trying to put me in a dress, I have no issue.
And
I
back
don't
to
care.
the point, as long as I don't have to do anything, I don't care what
Yeah.
you do.
I don't care.
Yeah. All right. This is the weirdest conversation we have ever had.
Do you
Is it?
do you go up to the gentleman and with your son and say that to him?
Oh, I go up to people all the time and say crazy stuff. I don't know why
if
I
you,
get away
if
with
you
it.
actually
I'm waiting
take
to
your
get punched
kid
in
up
the face.
to the person and actually create a conversation out of it. He's asking me a question and I don't know what to tell him. So what's
I do it all the time. And almost 100% of the time, I get a positive response from it. People like talking about it. Look, you don't wear a dress with a beard into the supermarket without having a little bit of a cry of attention going on. I'm sorry. That might be.
I mean, absolutely.
I mean, that's not a broad generalization.
You've got to
Like,
be a
you're
broken soul.
not a broken soul. I'm not going to judge you, but at the same time, like you're clearly okay with attention. Like if you wanted to meld into the background,
Yeah.
you would put on a pair of khakis and a polo
Yeah.
and a hat and you would hide.
Yeah,
All right.
and
like
sunglasses.
You would dress like this guy, trying to hide in the background. Like you wore a dress with a beard. You're obviously okay with attention, so I'm going to assume it's okay to give you some attention.
I'm going to take that stance.
I do it all
from
the
this
time. I
forward.
walk up to people and I'm like, hey,
Why?
what's going on with this? And they generally are very happy to talk about it, as long as you don't get judgmental and as long as you don't, like accuse them of anything. Most people are very happy to talk about their differences.
Like, see, I would go out dressed as a woman just like to get kicks and make my friends laugh. But so I wonder,
not funny anymore,
are a lot
Jimmy.
of people doing that
That's so
for that reason?
2016.
Like, do people just do it just for a laugh?
No,
I don't.
maybe.
Like,
I don't.
might be.
But I'd
some.
still ask them.
Like, I can't even get my head around what they're doing. Like, is it like a costume part of them?
No, but there's a difference
Or
between.
do they really just like?
It's how you
Is it
approach-
like an orgasm
But how do you?
by walking out in public?
Jimmy's
There it
that
is.
guy who
There
walks
it
into a
is. We're
party
back.
and he's
We're
like,
back.
the music's not loud enough. Let's crank this shit up.
All right, we're almost out of time. I want to get into one last topic. We didn't cover so much. We thought we wouldn't have enough material.
Yeah.
We didn't even get into half of this. We got to get whatever. Pronouns, real quick. I literally can't go on LinkedIn anymore. I don't know about you. Do you go on LinkedIn?
No, I pretty much don't do social media anymore.
I can't do the pronoun game. I can't do it. I don't care what your pronoun is.
Yeah,
And I can't say they. My niece came up to me. I was at a
I
play.
don't do pronouns.
My niece was in a play, and it was after the show, and I was up at the glass. They had all the actors up and everything else, and there was a I guess it would have been a trans individual was playing one of the roles, and I was like, she did a really good job. I was really impressed. And my niece, who's like 10, goes, "They, Uncle Craig, they did a really good job." And I was like, Jesus Christ, how many of her are there? Right? And this is what broke my brain. Is my niece looks at me and goes, "They, Uncle Craig, how many of they are there?" Like she wasn't like weirded out that I said how many of like that I made fun of they. She was upset that I still said her. And I said, "Look, sweetheart, I love you, but I don't play the pronoun game. I don't really care." Like you're making it weird. You're making it weird, not me. Like just roll with it. Like stop being weird. But what do you think? The pronoun game. Like, should we all be asking each other our pronouns? Like, does
I think
English still
I
matter?
think it's
Like,
dumbing
My
down.
approach is, if you look like a dude, I'm going to call you he. If you look like a girl, I'm going to call you she.
and what if they
If I-
correct you?
I screw up, I'm going to forget the next time.
Probably.
just
But you'll correct
me
it
again.
right then and there.
I'll correct it. Yeah, in,
Yeah, you're not
in the
gonna be
moment.
rude about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely
Would you
not.
say they?
No, unless it's multiple. because that's what I
Thank
know.
you. That's English. Like, that's multiple.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. What about you?
I'm not going to do pronouns, and it's the same thing. I'm going to evaluate people for reasons. Do I want to associate with you, and if you're going to use pronouns, I pretty much deem that a reason that I don't want to associate with you.
All right.
I don't. It's just foolish to me.
I'm not really forcing people?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No.
I thought
There's girls and guys in the world, and like I'm gonna stick to the traditional words.
If it helps, if somebody called me she, I'd probably just let it go.
I have no interest in.
I'd completely ignore it. Whatever.
Whatever.
People call me by the wrong name all the time. I don't even correct that.
No.
Yeah, I'm not seeking a position in life where I need to be I need to worry about it, and I don't plan to. So.
Well, I'll tell you, LinkedIn, man. If you go on there, there's he, she, him, hers all over the place. And it's I got to be honest.
No.
And I hate to say this because it sounds bad and this is going to get me in trouble, but if I am less likely to respond to somebody on LinkedIn if they have pronouns
absolutely.
in their name, because I feel like it's just going to be a thing, and I just kind of delete their message and move on. And
I don't want to work with you.
Probably not right, but I feel like it tells me a little bit about you that is not positive.
Exactly. That's what I was just saying, man.
I didn't pick up on that. Jimmy.
It's so easy.
I love you, buddy.
It's so easy how to figure out who you want to hang with.
It really is. Gentlemen.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. I have one more question.
All right, go ahead.
So the final question. If you
Don't do it.
If you're a kid,
Yeah.
you're 12 years old,
Mm-hmm.
your parents take you to get a sex change. You grow up, you're 22,
Mm-hmm.
you regret it.
Mm-hmm.
You file a suit against your parents, you want to sue them
Mm-hmm.
because you think that they misguided you and you want to press criminal charges against them.
Yes.
Who do you think should win that case?
The kid.
The kid?
You are absolutely committing child abuse if you change your child. Say even hormone therapy is child abuse. It is well documented that the human brain does not finish developing until the age of 25. I mean, that is documented across almost every single piece of psychological literature that is out there. Now, if you want to dress differently, present yourself differently, if you're exploring who you are as a person at a younger age, that is up to you. And I support all of that. But if you start messing with people's physiology just because of social populism, that is wrong on so many levels. It should absolutely send people to prison. I don't even have the words for how messed up that is. I don't know. I feel like those kids need to be protected from those parents, and they feel like they're doing the right thing. That's how messed up our society has become.
Yeah.
Tyler?
No, I'm in that saying it's child abuse as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that's an adult decision. And if you lean into the my body, my choice thing, you wait till you're an adult to make that decision, right? Mm-hmm. So that's fine. I can't make that decision for my kids. Like if Jack's came to me, he's like, I want to be a girl. Okay. You can dress that way, I guess, if that's what you want to do. But
my responsibility is to keep you from doing a sex change before you're old enough to realize where you really stand.
Well, it's not even on the table. I mean, at that point, my response, if Sonia came to me and said, I want to be a boy, I'd be like, great. Did you clean your room? Because that doesn't really change anything here.
Yeah.
You still have to do your chores. You still have to do well in school. Like, until 18, I want to be very clear. Until you're 18, I own you. I bought you. I spent a lot of money to keep you alive. All right. You're welcome. And until you get out of here, like, you pretty much have to, suck it up, buttercup. But when you get your own apartment, if you want to cut off your lady bits and put on new bits, like, whatever, I'll still love you. But when you're here, I don't give a crap. You want to wear khakis and a polo and look like Jake from State Farm? Like, go to school that way. I don't give a crap as long as your grades are good and you still do your chores. Let's keep priorities straight here, okay? My job is not to sit here and help you navigate social constructs and social norms. My job is to make sure that you don't grow up to be an asshole.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tell
That is my
kids
job.
all the time.
And if you want to be a trans person, I'm fine with that as long as you're not an asshole. And if you want to be gay, I'm fine with that as long as you're not an asshole. I will not tolerate an asshole in my family. So I don't care what flavor of non-asshole you are. Just don't be an asshole. And that is my job as a father. And keep them off the pole. All right. I was going to say that too. Drugs, pole, asshole. Those are the three things that you generally want to approach as a father. But to be fair, I am a father. We have very, very low standards. I don't know what mom would say about that, but that's where I ride.
So we all agree that in the end, these kids who are getting sex changes before they're 18 years old should have the right to sue their parents
I think the more tragic
later down the road.
I think the more tragic thing is we're already seeing an almost 50% higher mortality rate amongst trans people because of suicide than the normal population. And I think these kids who are growing up now that are being allowed to do stuff before they've been fully able to process what that change means will have a significantly higher suicide rate than that. I think because they will never be able to process who they were to understand it in the context of who they are.
Yeah.
And that dichotomy will never be able to be reconciled because they can't go back.
That's horrible.
So
that's a horrible position.
Mentally, you will never be able to recover from that poor decision your parents allowed you to make or encouraged you to make. And that is tragic in my opinion. And that is why it's child abuse. And if that statement gets me in trouble, then I stand by it through and through.
All right. I think that's a wrap, gentlemen.
All right, let's end it on that. So, you be you, boo. We're out.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.